There have been numerous cases of bullying at schools across the country in recent years. In the most recent case, 4 Northern Cape schoolboys will be appearing in court next month for allegedly sexually assaulting a fellow pupil with a broomstick. This morning we're discussing how can we prevent such incidents. What is the role of teachers, parents in supporting their children in school and make school bearable and a happy environment for the children? We're joined in the studio by clinical psychologist Ruth Ancer. Ruth, good morning and thank you for your time.
Thanks.
It is a very serious case, and I mean, and every so often in this country we hear of horrendous cases that make it into newspaper headlines, into the media, but there's others that don't make it. How serious is bullying?
I think it's very serious, and I think that particular case is very extreme in terms of the sadistic nature of the assault. But I think that it's something that happens at all levels of society, and we were just speaking about how even from decades and decades ago, people remember the names of children who bullied them because it can stay with you for a very long time.
Yeah. No,
So
it's true, because I was bullied, I remember, in 1960-something, long ago at school. And I still remember even the name, or as you said, of the person who did it for me. But what does a child do? Let's start there. What would the advice be? What do I do as a child and I'm being bullied?
I think, first of all, parents and schools need to make it clear that there's a zero tolerance policy. Because if a child feels that they'll be listened to, that they'll be supported, they can report what is going on. Because I think the problem is when people remain silent, it continues.
Now, what are the telltale signs for me as a parent, you know? What do I look for in my child to say, something is not going well here in school? Do I look at the performance? Do I look at the behavior?
You look at everything. If there's any change in your child's emotional state, in your child's functioning, in their attitude towards school, if they suddenly don't want to go to school, if they suddenly seem tearful or anxious, that's when you start asking more penetrating questions. However, what's important is that parents have ongoing open communication with their children, and you start this at a very early age, giving children the chance to say what is going well for them and what is hard for them. So if there's an instance of bullying, they will come to you and tell you, which is what you want.
Now, the teachers at school, they spend the time, most of the time with the children. What is their role in trying to assess and see if there's any bullying going on? What do they do?
Well, first of all, also to notice if there are any changes, but second of all, to make sure that there are policies in the school that the children know about, that there are classes that address what is okay, how is it okay to treat others, how is it not okay to treat others, and how is it okay to be treated, and then what's not okay, and also to look at what is the role of other kids who are observing the bullying. We call it the bystanders. We want the bystanders to be active, not passive. We want bystanders to stop and say, this is not okay. And if they're too scared to go to the teachers and say, we saw this happening.
So the teacher must say, listen, if anything like this happens, you come and talk to me.
Absolutely.
Must make sure that the kids understand that they can go to him or her at any point in time if they feel that they are being treated badly.
Yes, and not just the victims, but also the people witnessing. Because often the people witnessing are so scared that they will become victims that they either join in or they stay silent. We don't want them to be silent.
Now, bullying starts right from maybe grade 1 or even before that, and and you said it's happening at different grades of schooling, right up to matric and stuff.
Yes.
Some parents would say, no, my child must learn how to defend themselves. You must get, skills and stuff like that. And if you get bullied, you also bully back and you fight back. Is that the right approach?
Well, I think it's part of it. You want children to be assertive. You want children to be able to say, no, you can't do that to me. You want children to be able to, if they can, ignore what's happening so that the bullies don't get the response they're looking for. But I don't think it's appropriate to say you have to work it out by yourself, because sometimes it's too hard. Children need to be given skills in terms of how to respond, but they also need to know that the parents in their life and the teachers in their life will support them.
Now, bullying, finds itself in different parts of society as well. We're talking about schooling here, but we also hear about bullies in the workplace.
Absolutely.
And all of that thing. Is it possible that a parent whose child is a bully, they can also notice that my child is a cause of the problem? And what do they do in that case?
I think that's a very important point. And you're absolutely right. We have bullies in every sector of society, in every workplace. When you notice that your child is part of the problem, you have to start a communication with your child and trying to get your child to develop an empathy for the other kids, to kind of say, what would it feel like if this is how I was treated by other people? Because once we can start getting children to look at how it impacts other people and really put themselves in those other children's shoes, they might start behaving differently. If the child is incapable of any empathy, then we've got another problem. But for the majority of children, it's about trying to be accepted, trying to assert control. And if you can look at what the actual issues are, why is my child needing to assert this dominance? Why is my child being so cruel?
So don't be defensive as a parent if it comes up that your child is the bully.
No, being defensive is not going to help. It's about engaging in a discussion about what is happening and how can we do this differently. What is going on with my child that this is the role they are trying to take with other kids?
Okay, now thank you very much. That's clinical psychologist Ruth Ancer with very common sense advice there.